Greetings and welcome to our last year review for our call-in live with Tacts, the Association of Clinical Trial Services, and we welcome you this December. Man, it's been a long year, but we are so glad that we've made it through, and we are so glad to be here with you on CAN TV Live. I got a couple of texts. I heard you all saw me a little bit before we started today. But we're on today with Tacts, the Association of Clinical Trial Services, and I am your hostess with the mostest, your community epidemiologist. How many have you met? Not that many, but now you at least know one, says Dr. Neil deGrasse. Regardless of the controversy, I still see him as a good person. So anyway, you can always call us in, and we got our PC, our People's Counselors in the house, Mr. Charles Patton. He's waiting with you on the live line, 312-738-1068. You know, sometimes 1060. I get the zeros and eights mixed up because I don't have my glasses on. You know how that works. But we're going to always start out like we start off. We always want to make sure that we give our salutations to the people that work with us. We are working with clinical trials research and all types of community-based research. And as you can see, there's lots of people there that really work with us well. Like we've had funding with the Third Coast, CFAR, Chicago, Men and Women in Prison Ministry, AIDS Foundation of Chicago, of course, Flow Photography, which is Mr. Charles Patton, and the National Black Agenda Consortium and the AIDS Healthcare Foundation. So these are just some of the people that we've worked with over the time, and we really still want to give them their salutations as well. So the other thing that we always tax every single time until they change this into health equity time for us, we're going to be talking about health equity. And health equity is what we are about. We want you to know that what is health equity is not equality, although we're for equality, but health equity is always getting the people what they need to have when they need to have it. And that's what you see with these boxes. I actually am going to be changing that graphic out next year. We're going to start using the bicycles because I really like the idea of health bicycles, and more importantly, having the bicycle that fits you the right way, the best way. You know what? Having the type of health care that fits you the right way, the best way, is optimal health care. That is health equity, and that's what we're going for. And we think that we're going to have to utilize a different kind of a structure. So the structure we talk about, structure on health equity, as it deals with three sides of the triangle. This is the structure that we've been promoting. We look at programs, services, and data and research. I'm much more on the data research side, but I am definitely involved with programs, and I talk to people that deal with services. And within that, we have what? Policy changes, we have institutional changes, but this is where you come into play. We talk more about community changes and what the community is responsible for. And guess what? You are responsible for your own health. It is up to you to seek out the services that you need, the programs that you need, the access, if you will, the insurance. All of those things are your responsibility as well as ours when in the healthcare. In fact, I wish I had this graphic that's by one of my colleagues, Mr. Melvin, and he talks about how actually of the 100% of our, like when you're looking at your body, it was 100%. Only 20% is done by the healthcare providers. So where is the other 80%? Most of it actually is in your social services, and more importantly in your financial services. So I'm gonna get that graphic, and we've got to get a little bit more serious and precise about how it is that we're getting health and what does improving health really mean. So those are some of the things that we will be doing for next year. But however, this time we're gonna deal with what we call our year in review. So the year in review really is about what we covered all this year And I just want to make sure that you all just get an idea of some of the things we did. As you can see here, we were busy this year. We did the Women's Networking Social, which was in May. We definitely talked about the violence prevention and intervention, the unemployment rates in the city of Chicago. And as you can see, I'm still going to talk about it because it has an impact on health, especially among our blacks. As you can see, if all Chicago unemployment rate in the city of Chicago is 8.3 in 2017, blacks are at 18.7. Don't tell me that's not a problem. Latinos is 6.8, whites are at 3.4. Interesting, male and females actually are synonymous at 7.8 as well as 7.9 for females. That means it's about evenly distributed. The rate is among males and females who are unemployed in the city of Chicago. But best you believe that I just talked Southern. I said, best you believe that those numbers are indicative of the numbers of people who are black, African descendants living in the city of Chicago. So what is wrong with that picture is our people are unemployed, their health is impacted, they don't get they suffer from inequities of health care and health improvement, and therefore we are not progressing as a people. I have to just say, what you gonna do in 2019? Are we going to continue to allow these types of rates and this impact upon our lives to always be a burden to us, or are we going to progress and move forward? Next year, we're going to get more into the weeds of how to progress. We need to really talk about serious steps that you can take to improve your health. Benchmark yourself from this year, 2018 at the end, and let's see what we can do differently by the end of 2019. Let's just try that together. Even me. Can we do one thing that improved our health? Can we increase things that improve our health? Like Mr. Charles Patton is eating more salads now. He has a week where he goes raw, and then he turn around and not be raw and eat meat. But the point is, he still has instituted at least something that was extra in his repertoire to increase his salad intake, as well as decrease some of his carnage that he eats on a daily basis, at least giving himself a week of a break being raw foods. That is one step. So I'm going to help and talk about let's increase more vegetables and fresh fruits and all the better grains for us. And I'm going to think about how I can decrease cheese. I'm not going to cut it out, but I am going to consider decreasing. So I know that was an inside joke, but again, these are the things that we can talk about for next year. We're going to be working on the Women's Networking Social. That is always going to be in May. We'll be giving you more updates on that when we come back next year. We definitely dealt with the concept of violence and violence prevention, and I was able to attend. Oh, by the way, I wanted to make sure that the statistics that I gave you, in case you didn't see it, that comes from the Chicago Health Atlas. It should say chicagohealthatlas.org. I apologize. It should say chicagohealthatlas.org. I'm asking you to go to that site. I am promoting that site for, as we would say, data dissemination. So nevertheless, again, we worked this year with the Worker Center on Racial Justice, where they had a meeting with some of them at that time mayoral candidates. Sorry, Troy, he kind of, he just, maybe something else is in store for him later on. But Troy was there and some other candidates. But more importantly, Kimberly Fox was there. And we really did get into the weeds of what was happening with some of the police brutality in the city of Chicago. It was a very tense but important meeting to have at the time. So we definitely work with the Worker Centers for Racial Justice on that. What I like is they said safety and liberation. What does that mean? That means we need to be safe and we need to be liberated from all this brutality that seems to really be impacting us the most. I don't know how it is they get trained for other races, but when it comes to black, all of a sudden they don't have enough training. That's code, right? Like the peon codes, the prison codes, the slave codes. Y'all, we just live in police codes. It's all the same as it has been before, but nothing changes if nobody changes. Are you going to change? I'm ready. So we worked with them. We also did talk about and this was something that our people's counselor was very instrumental about. And Charles really did go in about National Recovery Month and working with SAMHSA. And if you don't know that's the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Service Administration, but SAMHSA is responsible for trying to make sure that not only do they collect the data on people who are impacted by substance abuse, but they do try to give out grants to help people get through some of the programming. Unfortunately, as usual, is never enough, but those things do exist, and he really did hone in on what National Recovery Month was about. For 29 years, they've been looking at this per year and trying to figure out how can they reduce the incidence of people who not only abuse substances but also end up with mental and have had mental what we would call challenges. We could say mental illness. It certainly wasn't mental health. So let's be careful on the words that we use, but it was mental challenges that they have succumbed to with diagnosis. And we need to really take that on. I will be talking more in the future about that personally and professionally. And I, with that, want to just jump right in and say, not only did we do breast cancer awareness, but I, for the first time, took the mental health mental health first aid program. I did an 8-hour class with the Veterans Women of Chicago. Thank you. Or Women Veterans of Chicago. And we were able to have that mental health first aid course, and it was very enlightening. It was very inspiring, and more importantly, it showed me just how much more work we need to do. And I'm going to get to that in a few minutes about the more work, obviously, but I was very happy that I took that course, and now I'm encouraging everyone to at least take your mental health first aid course. If you're interested in that information, again, you do have the call-in number at 312-738-1060, but you can call me at our on Tacts at 312-961-6189, and I will connect you to one of the facilitators or someone that I know that facilitated the mental first aid courses that you could take. Those mental health first aid courses will be offered later on in the year, but at least you can get yourself registered or at least know when they're coming up. Everybody should take this course. It's worth the effort. Just like you take CPR, you should take this, because now CPR, I think, should be in tandem with your mental first aid as well, because we are really dealing with a lot of people whose mental illnesses and challenges are astronomically high. And even those who we don't think are having episodes now are having these feelings that they've not been able to deal with. So we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. And then again, on the sad note, our last show, we had to talk about Dr. Tamara O'Neal. Again, not to bring up the sadness, but to bring up the importance of why mental health issues still impact us so harshly. She lost her life due to her fiance at the time, or not fiance, actually she broke it off, the relationship with him, the marriage, but unfortunately his mental instability cost him her life and his too. And it's unfortunate because she did everything right, yet this other person took away her life due to his inequities, his mental challenge, his mental state of mind, which unfortunately we don't want to drag it out, but this is what people who are not stable do. And when they haven't been dealt with, they act out. And there were telltale signs, but unfortunately not enough to prevent this shooting that happened, or that happened at Mercy Hospital, and the taking away of other people's lives besides Dr. Tamara O'Neal. But we again will be giving salutations to that great spirit that lived among us and was taken away from us way too early, way too fast. Now, getting to some other news that happened that you all don't know. So that was our year in review. I was able to go to San Diego, and we went to the American Public Health Conference. That annual meeting that they have is one of the biggest conferences on public health in the United States. And their particular logo was creating the healthiest nation, right? Health equity now. So who was about health equity, honey? It was me. So that picture that you just saw was my good colleague and friend Gina Curry from Northwestern University. We both attended the conference in San Diego in California from November 10th through the 14th, and we both were able to present at the conference where we talked about clinical trials research among community-based organizations. I was very delighted to be there. I think what we presented to the people was salient and important, but more or less it was a good way to interact with others, professionals that are doing the type of work that I was doing, and for them to hear the type of work we're doing. And we are burgeoning forward with working with more community-based organizations in the future. Look out for Tacts is going to try. I apologize. Tacts will be moving forward with a community IRB process, as well as looking at health equity and doing more focus groups in the community around health equity. So be listening up for that. Oh, we sound busy already, don't we? I'm scared. But I'm motivated too. And then there was another conference that I attended that had to deal with, it was here, this was more my professional side, but it was here with, I'm always a professional, but this was the Chicago Department of Public Health side, and it was the BizNow National Healthcare Midwest here in Chicago, where this was a combination of several companies that are in healthcare, such as dialysis, and they had the Microsoft was there of all the people. Yes, they was. I got to meet the vice president of Microsoft. Yeah. Several other people who own business and real estate deals, and of course we're finding out that there was some engineers there as well who will be working on Providence Hospital. So I'm going to keep you updated with that. Providence Hospital is about to go through a change, so we'll be listening out for what those changes are going to be. But the people were in the room and they were talking about it, and we need to make sure that we're abreast of what's happening. So maybe one of our mayoral candidates can give us more insight about what's going on with Providence Hospital. I think it's a question that can be asked publicly. And maybe we should talk about where we sit as far as what are the clinical bases and what are going to be some of the access bases in the city of Chicago. So we got the Cook County, we got the state of Illinois, we have city of Chicago. So here we are at 3 levels deep of healthcare providers, and how is it handling and doing well with our healthcare outcomes. And of course, not to mention the plethora of universities, Rush and UIC and all the host of others, University of Chicago. So here it is, we've got these universities, Northwestern, hey, how can I leave them out, right? We've got all these universities that call themselves working with the community, but how is it really impacting us and improving our health care? So those are some of the things that I really brought out this time, and I definitely like the fact that we have been busy working well in the community, giving back to what we need to do. So I was gonna see if you can see this. It's a little bit tense, but Kwanzaa time, y'all. That's what this is. I know you can't see it as well as I like, but as you can see, Kwanzaa, I should have put this on the slide, but I forgot. But the point that I'm making here is just showing you on my phone, it is Kwanzaa time, honey. And if you don't know what Kwanzaa is, it is a non-religious African descendants, Africans in America, so African descendants are we all, celebration of our first fruits, honey, Nguzu Saba, our first fruits. And we celebrate this from December 26th through January 1st. For those 7 days, we got 7 principles. And those principles guide us through our lives on how we should be living and applying our African ancestry, our present, and our future, because they're all one. So you have Emoja, you have Kujichagulia. Emoja means unity. Kujichagulia is self-determination. You have Ujima, which is collective works and responsibilities. Ujima, which is we mostly call it like our market. And then you have Kaumba, which is Nia, which is the one that we're going to be doing, which is my spiritually speaking group is going to be doing on December 30th. And if you're interested, you should come out. We'll be at 110 South Michigan. Just get there by 2 o'clock and we should be starting. So Nia Kaumba, which is creativity, honey. That's what I am. Very creative. But it's for us as a creative group and people to creatively figure out how to deal with these problems that we have, including healthcare access. So that is Kahumba, the 6th day. And our last day, honey, we got to have some what? Some Imani. Imani means faith. And we have to have the faith to know that we can do the work that needs to be done. In February, we're going to talk about the faith of dismantling our oppressors. That's deep. But we're going to dismantle the oppressed mind and spirit that we have from within so that we can be fully engaged on how to live. And we're going to be transformed. So be ye transformed, like the conference I went to in Washington, D.C., Metamorphosis. Be ye transformed to go back and reclaim what it is that is yours, to be the best that you can be. And the Metamorphosis Conference, which was held by Dr. Anthony Browder in Washington, D.C., and a whole host of others, by the way. A team is behind him, and I attended that particular conference. I'm so glad to have been there. It has inspired me. It has engaged me. And more importantly, it put some fire up on me to come out and talk about what I liked and what I didn't like, what our assets and what are challenges. And honey, I don't know if Dr. Browder and Dr. Smalls was there. I should have put that picture up. I was so glad to see them. It's the first time in 30 years that I've been with both of them brothers in the same room. I have not been able to do that more than 30 years, and now it happened. So I was elated. Dr. Smalls, thank you for giving me your picture, honey. But I was elated to have taken that picture because I am definitely among giants, and I'm getting taller myself. I was standing tall with them brothers, and I'm going to stand a little taller because they're going about to hear how we coming out. It's time, as they say, the old bulls have been there. The new bulls is coming in. But new guard is going to be coming in next year. You're going to be hearing from our spiritually speaking community, for which we will be providing some lectures, some insights, some teaching, some classes, because that is the only way we can pass this information to you, as well as, a little bit of, we're going to say, entertainment. We will perform. We will do the things that we know how to do, and being creative with our Kahumba, but more importantly, we're going to be Kujichagulia, self-determined to say what it is and why and how we see life to be for us as African people. Speaking of which, I want to give a shout out to my sister, Aset. She from the Aset Puberty Rights Program. This is Mama Asantewa. She just finished a 2-year program with these young ladies who range from 13 to 18. 2 of them are going to college. The others are still in school and matriculating, and I was so pleased, was my heart with it, to see these young ladies matriculate through the Offset Puberty Rights Program. And I asked them, who among you will work with my sister and I to make sure that the African race is propelling forward? And of all the 13 girls, they all raised their hands. Honey, that's really doing it big. I hope my family's watching. I heard my brother, he texts me, my sister texts me, our sister in love. Hey, Miss Talia. She's always following me on social media and other things. Hopefully you all will have a wonderful holiday. Again, Kwanzaa time, December 30th. If you're interested, come out to 110 South Michigan at 2 o'clock. We will be there doing Kwanzaa time, honey. Look it up, look it out, and we will be around. I want to give a special shout out to CAN TV. Thank thank you all for your services. This is what we do as a non-for-profit organization. And of course, we had our people's counselor in the house, Mr. Charles Patton. He told me he gonna step up a little bit next year and do a couple of more sessions. So wonderful news to hear. We're gonna still be a part of this program, a part of this CAN-TV family. And we thank you for those who see us live. Hopefully my daughter Ajwa is watching. She's part of us too. And if you don't see us live, I've been told sometimes they run this on different hours, but more importantly, you can go to YouTube, find CAN-TV Live on YouTube, and you can watch this at any time you wish. It is recorded. So thank you all so much. I have appreciated what we've done here. And again, good blessings, good heart, and we look forward to seeing you next year. I'm out, your hostess with the mostest, Sister Yaa.